So we're very interested in 45Z, sustainable aviation fuel, um, and because it is a sustainability initiative that touches fertilizer. So 45Z traditionally has always been cover crops, inhibitor use, and no-till, but there's opportunities to broaden that to more practices that could include using low carbon ammonia fertilizers. It could include using other products and being more specific with your nutrient management, such as using for nutrient stewardship. So TFI really cares about this just because as an industry we care about our overall emissions, whether that be in the field or on the production side.
Farmers are probably learning more about sustainability when it comes to 45Z than they've really thought about for a lot of years. But really, the fertilizer aspect of crop production is probably one place that they could really start and be able to capture some of the benefits of biofuels.
Yeah. I mean, really, there is an opportunity if we're able to get the language in 45Z changed and to a good place for growers where they can really benefit from lowering their carbon intensity scores by having a whole suite of tools available to them, not just necessarily no-till plus cover crops plus EEFs, but broadening that out a little bit so we can get more sustainability across the landscape that's accessible to more.
Is there a lot of difference in that between anhydrous ammonia and urea and UAN? Is there a lot of carbon intensity differences in those?
As far as difference between them, not necessarily. I mean, everything really, on the production side, everything really comes back to that production of the ammonia to start, which then can cycle down to those. But then when using them in the field, that all comes down to the 4Rs. So using it right time and place. So that right source, it can really vary based on the operation.
You hit the 4Rs pretty hard today.
Yes. The 4Rs are really important to the fertilizer industry because it is our number one way to get at that chunk of 70% of the greenhouse emissions come from the infield use. 4R is the best way to go after that. That big number is to really manage our nitrogen appropriately.
Do you think farmers, are they concerned about it? Do they know about it? Where is that level as far as farmer concern on that 4R issue?
Well, I think farmers are considering the 4Rs with every decision that they make with nutrient management. I mean, if you're going to put down a nutrient, you're thinking about the source, the time, the place, and the rate of that source. So yes, farmers are considering 4R. Are they considering it for greenhouse gas emissions? I would say that maybe not specifically for that, but they are thinking about their profits. And when you're losing your nitrogen to water or to the atmosphere, you're not actually keeping it around for the crop. So I do think farmers are inherently, aware of this because they don't want to waste their money on nitrogen that's just going off to the environment.
That's that fertilizer sector in a farm budget right now is the one that probably more farmers are concerned about. And they're figuring out, how can I raise a good crop, but how can I make money from it? And I'm sure that there are some farmers that are going to be cutting back on their fertilizer use this next year, but that's going to hurt them in the end.
Yeah, I think, you can be strategic about your nutrient management planning. So nitrogen, you never want to cut back your nitrogen too much because that is the one nutrient that we always have to apply to get our yields. We have to make sure there's enough nitrogen. But if you have high phosphorus or high potassium fields, maybe you back off on the applications a little bit there. You don't necessarily need to put so much down. Maybe just apply for a removal. With phosphorus, if you've got high testing soils, there's no reason to be applying a bunch of phosphorus. You can put on a little starter, get that crop going, and then, once those roots grow out, they can expand in that soil. TFI, we're really big on 4R nutrient stewardship because we don't want to be polluters of the to the environment. And phosphorus and nitrogen are two of those big areas where we really want to encourage growers not to over apply, but to do it responsibly.
You've come here to the Illinois Fertilizer and Chemical Association. I'm sure you're doing outreach to a lot of other states, trying to get that fertilizer message to a lot of farmers an agronomist and fertilizer retailers as well.
Yes, definitely. I mean, these are big topics anywhere where we're touching the Mississippi River. I mean, Mississippi River Basin, that hypoxia task force that is focused on the Gulf. We want to make sure that, all of these regions of the United States have access to this type of information and are well aware of the 4Rs and 4R nutrient stewardship.
Farmers are going to be, been waiting on fertilizer prices to go down to be able to get their crop budgets balanced as much as possible. I think a lot of them are concerned about what the new administration may do to Canada because farmers know a tremendous amount of their fertilizer comes from out of Canada.
Yes, it's true. I mean, we're keeping a really close eye on tariffs. If we had a crystal ball, we sure would use it and, predict what's going to happen. But we don't really know. We're really hoping that the rhetoric around tariffs is more negotiation based. And the other thing that we can say is, we have a lot of avenues and a lot of relationships with congressional and agency members at TFI where we don't think that tariffs will be necessarily blanket tariffs, but maybe we can exempt certain products or they'll be very product specific. And we have a really good case for why fertilizer should not be included in tariffs with, say, Canada for example.
How much fertilizer does come from Canada as far as phosphates and potash? Is it? I'm sure we're probably in the 90% range.
Yes, so with potash, we get 98% of our potash comes from Canada, and so that is really the big one. Otherwise, our sources for potash are Belarus or Russia, and really we want to stick tight with our trade partner Canada, especially when it comes to potash. Nutrient stewardship is just really the most important thing that we want to have people keep in mind. Consider our 4R Advocate program. Be a voice yourself in Washington. That's one way to do it, is signing up for our Advocate program. Our congressional members want to know their growers in their own home districts, and this program provides a gateway for you to be that voice.